Hello and welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of RE/MAX Lakes. So welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Yes, here we are, and we're about a month into COVID-19. I mean, the real effects, we've been talking about COVID-19 for many, many months, but really affecting us, it's been about 4 weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, the shutdown order for Indiana was March 24th was effectively when it went in place. There were a lot of things that were happening in advance of that, but that shutdown really shut us down.
Yeah.
And it really slowed things down. And in the real estate market, we are considered an essential service, so we are still functioning, but boy is it changing. Things are changing daily, weekly. The activity level has decreased dramatically. Week one, we still have a few showings going on, still a lot of people contacting. Saw homes coming on the market week two, a little bit slower. It's, I think, as I mentioned in the show last week, nationally, 48% reduction in the number of buyers out there looking.
Yeah.
There'll be a new poll come out. There always are, right? Every time you turn around, somebody's polling the audience to see where they're at. But it's definitely slowing down. But I thought, maybe talk a little bit about some of the misinformation that's out there.
Because there's a lot.
There's a lot. Depends on what shows you watch, what podcast you listen to. As we talked about last week, the stimulus check, Ramsey, Raj mentioned that, listen to the Ramsey show.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey, big financial advisor. People, hey, bank that stimulus money. I know I listened to Alan Aldifer, one of the shows he gave, kind of the same deal.
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, if it were me personally, my advice versus a financial advisor may be totally different. Hey, we're always looking ahead, trying to save for retirement and those things. So
right.
Take that money. The intent is to put it back into the economy, so that's what's best for the country.
Sure.
But what's best for you personally may be to take that stimulus money and put it in the bank.
Right.
And don't do anything with it. Don't spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Save it. Because, unfortunately, we don't know where this thing's going to go, how long it's going to take, how long it is going to be before the economy, takes off. And I'm not doom and gloom. Believe me, I was one of those at the beginning of this whole thing. They were thinking, you know what, this is no worse than the flu.
Right.
A lot more people die from the flu
I was right
than
there.
what this is. But yet, I've seen, okay, I'll eat those words. We have shut this country down effectively.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of industries have stopped. Now, obviously, with that comes change. And people adapt to those things. But there's just a lot of misinformation out there. I mean, I talk to folks still, because we're actively out there. May not be face-to-face, but, I'm getting phone calls. Are interest rates still good? Well, yes, they are. But you got to have income in order to get a mortgage. So if you're unemployed, it's probably not a good time to go out looking at houses to buy a new home, because your lender's going to want to verify that you have employment.
Right.
In order to, and you're getting income, yes, from unemployment, but unless your credit score is outstanding, unless you've got a long credit history and relationship with the bank, it's going to be tough to get a mortgage on unemployment. Doesn't mean you can't. So, I would preface all of these things that I'm talking about. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not giving financial advice. Right? I'll throw that disclaimer out there. But because I don't want to spread misinformation either. Mm-hmm. So I want you to verify individually. If you've got a situation or a question, feel free to give me a call.
Sure.
And I'll point you in the right direction if you don't remember what we're talking about here today.
Mm-hmm.
At least try to help you get to the source, somewhere that you can get valid information. So ultimately, lending is tightening up. They are beginning to require a better credit score,
okay.
Potentially more assets in your hands before they will loan. There's a headline out there, again, I think I mentioned I subscribe to a mortgage broker website. They update every day. Lenders get stricter. This is one of the headlines. Lenders get stricter as some borrowers think they don't have to pay. So because of all the misinformation out there, we're in a financial crisis, you don't need to pay your mortgage. That's not true.
No.
It doesn't mean that lenders don't have forgiveness plans of some kind. Student loans. So we're talking mortgages. Same thing with student loans. I've heard a lot of people, well, in this time I don't have to pay my student loan. Well, that may or may not be true. My advice is contact your lender specifically. Don't go off of what you hear on the radio. Don't go what Mark says. Don't go what my third cousin's aunt's uncle's nephew says.
Or don't assume.
Don't assume, because we all know what that means
Right.
and what it does.
Yes, right.
Call your lender or call the creditor. People have got car loans. So the things we're talking about, it's not just about a mortgage. It's about anything that you have on credit. There are a lot of creditors that have some programs available during this time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So, my best advice is talk to those creditors directly. Don't take secondhand advice. Don't take, well, it worked for Billy Bob,
Mm-hmm.
it'll work for me. It's just like when we've talked in the past about interest rates. Billy Bob's getting a 3.5% interest rate. Why is my rate 4? Well, Billy Bob's credit's 820.
Right.
And they've got a long job history. Your credit is 620, and you're late on payments regularly. You are not going to get the best rate.
No, it's a big difference.
So it is a very specific question that you need to ask. So the advice of the first half of the show is, if you've got questions related to your credit about any kind of forbearance or forgiveness, interest-only payments, any of those things, call your creditor directly and talk to them directly and get it in writing. Whatever they tell you, that's my next piece. Get it in writing.
Right, because President Trump actually he did give basically responsibility to the banks. Like banks are making their own decisions
Correct.
on a lot of this SBA
Correct.
stuff
Correct.
for businesses and whatnot. And I know we're talking about individuals.
Yeah.
But all right, hey, we're going to get to more of some of these headlines that you brought in here. Coming up next, you're listening to Real Estate in Real Time.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skabowski of RE/MAX Lakes. And we're talking about a lot of headlines and misinformation that's been going on with COVID-19 and people thinking like, oh, I don't have to pay my student loan.
Right.
I don't have to pay my mortgage. No, you need to contact the financial institution that you're connected to and talk to them. If they're forgiving anything, you have to specifically talk to them about your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because the program is out there and may be out there or may not be out there doesn't mean you're going to automatically get it. Now, some of them do have an opt-in. You send an email, you log into their website, log into your account. It may be a very smooth process, easy process, but the bottom line, it's your personal responsibility to do that. And why am I saying that on a show talking about real estate? Because ultimately, these things are going to impact your ability to get a mortgage when it comes out. If you just decided, hey, I'm not going to pay my student loan because I heard on the news that they're forgiving student loan payments during this time frame, you may be in for a rude awakening when you do go to apply for that mortgage, and all of a sudden you've got late pays or non-pays or anything, any of that related to it. That's why we're having this discussion. So, again, that's misinformation that people could construe that as, hey, I don't have to pay if they heard it on the news. That's not the case. Contact your lender specifically. The banks are making adjustments, just as title companies have made adjustments, just as we're adjusting how we do business. Chase Bank now requires, and this was a headline, now requires a 700 FICO score and 20% down payment to do a mortgage.
Wow.
So Chase had some other programs out there and available.
Yeah.
They're restricting that. Why are they doing that? Their expectation is there are going to be borrowers in distress, and they don't want to be on the backside of that, adding to the foreclosures.
They don't want what happened in 2008, 2009 to happen again.
Correct.
For the bubble to burst.
Right. So they're trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, protect people from themselves. Even though we really want a house, why should I get a mortgage, as I talked about to begin with, if I'm on unemployment? Right. Should I be out buying a house if I don't think I'm going to go back to my job?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, and lenders are looking at that. Again, it's a risk-reward thing. for them, they're taking the risk on loaning you the money for you to buy the house.
Yeah.
They want to loan to you. There's plenty of funding available.
Right.
But they're just tightening their covenants up in order to get those mortgages.
We'll also hear about a month ago or so when they reduced the interest rate again that affected mortgage rates. When that happened, a lot of people started checking out refis,
Right.
doing refis,
Right.
and once it got all the mortgage originators busy,
Right.
they're busy, so a lot of people are wanting money because money is cheap. And when a lot of people want money, well, they don't have the staffing to handle
Correct.
what everybody wants.
Right.
So you gotta do something to reduce it to slow it down a little bit.
Absolutely. So they're tightening up their lending requirements, and along with that, the COVID thing, a lot of their high demand, and they had to cut their staffs, or people are working from home where they're probably not as productive as they were.
Yeah.
At the same time. So, all those things are impacting processing times. So lenders are adjusting. Here's another headline out of that same website. Mortgages in forbearance jumped 1,396% in 1 month. Now that's a standard. Roger's eyes just got really big. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
1,396% in 1 month. Well, it's from 0.25 to 3.74%
Okay.
in forbearance, right? So that's if we write the headline the right way, we can get that. Hey, people will read my article.
Right, yeah.
Well, what's that mean? So these mortgages are in forbearance. This is actually a good thing. So what it is people were proactive in reaching out to their mortgage broker or to their lending institution and saying, hey, I'm going to have trouble, paying my mortgage going forward.
Okay.
So they are in forbearance, meaning they've signed an agreement that may be interest only for a certain amount of time.
Wow.
So the lenders are open to it by 1,400% in 1 month, right? I would expect to see that number climb.
Yeah.
As it goes. And that's a good thing because foreclosure is never a good thing.
Mm-hmm. No.
Never a good
Well,
thing.
the banks don't want to be in the real estate business.
Correct.
They want to leave that to the real
Correct.
estate companies.
Correct. So the bottom line is there are options. And yeah, that's an attention-grabbing headline. But the fact is some lenders will be flexible with you. And then, I found in the CARES Act, any government-backed loans, so FHA,
Oh, yeah.
I believe USDA and VA, again, call your lender to verify, but the CARES Act does cover that. Why is it in the CARES Act? So this is the stimulus package. Why is it in there? Because those are the people most likely to get foreclosed upon. People that only had 3% equity or no equity, 100% financing.
Yeah.
So again, if you can walk away from this show with anything, if you're in distress, if you think you may be in distress as it relates to your mortgage, to any item that you have for credit, reach out to that lender in advance. Don't just not pay the payment due to misinformation
Right.
that you're hearing on the media, through friends, family, whatever. Reach out to them in advance. There are steps that can be taken to protect you.
Okay, and if they want to reach out to you?
Sure. Phone number is 834-1233, or my email address is markskabowski@remax.net. Shoot me an email. I'll respond.
It's an uncertain time, and so it's you got to get the answers and
Yeah.
answers that are specific to you. So, all right, Mark, thank you for the information. Very good information. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.